Arlene,
And this is Gowri.
and together with us, we have a very special guest in the studio. His name is Utaya Sankar. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Arlene. Hi, Gowri.
Hi, good to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah, today we are going to talk a very interesting topic, and who else that we should invite other than our special social observer slash writer Utaya Sankar on the topic that all of us are involved in, which is the social media. And today we are going to focus on the language
Yeah, we're going to look at
of.
how social media has been changing the English language or even any other languages as well. But today we're focusing on English, how our communication have changed, how we've invented so many new words, and sometimes even not using the right terms every now and
Mhm.
then.
And because Utaya Sankar is also a writer in the Malay language, we are also going to sort of like put another dimension, which is the evolve of the Malay language as well. From especially through social media nowadays, people just prefer to use a shorter version when it comes to typing, when it comes to like expressing themselves. But first of all, Utaya Sankar, I just want to know like. Um, why social media is so significant to today's generation that it changes the way we communicate to each other.
Well, as everybody can see, with the social media, as it's called, a social media. That's where we interact with people. They don't have to be sitting next to us. They could be elsewhere, and we still get a chance to be communicating with them in a very easy way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the trouble starts. We make it too easy to communicate.
Yeah, but why we want to make it easy? Where are all these pantones, all these nuances that we use? And, in the past, when people talk, they have depth in their language and also in the way, the meaning of, the meaning that they want to put forward. But nowadays, everything is so simplified that it becomes meaningless. It's like junk food.
Yeah, I understand your concern. You see, it has become so simple that it becomes meaningless. That would be the exact expression here. People are saying so many things on social media since it's so easy and everybody's reading it, and it becomes so meaningless. The same thing happens to tweets. There are thousands of tweets, and we'll be wondering if everybody's actually reading and understanding what we are saying, or is it just that we are tweeting around and it becomes so meaningless that it has no meaning at all.
Mm-hmm. And Gowri, you are a fan of Twitter, right?
Yes, I'm a big fan of Twitter. The thing that I like about Twitter is they limit you to 140 words. Characters. So it really makes you think of how am I gonna convey this message in just this limited what you call these
Characters.
confines that I have. Yeah.
Hey,
But
I really wish there are more people like Gowri. She knows there are only 140 characters, and you have to still express yourself using that limited space. You see, back to Arlene, it's the same question here. People are trying to simplify what they're saying. They say, okay, I only have 140 characters, so let me simplify the language. Let me make it shorter to the extent that we use numbers. Like 4, we use number 4 for 4, 2 for 2, and everything. And grade would be GR with number 8.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
those are the terms that really gets into my nerves because we are trying to simplify and we are giving an excuse that hey, because I only have 140 characters. But if people become like Gowri, she'll say, okay, I only have this, it's limited, let me do something within that. Goes back to the traditional pantun that Arlene spoke about just now. We know pantun has rules and regulations which you have to follow, and people were still able to convey their message in a beautiful language.
It has and when you read all these poetries and pantuns, it has such a deep meaning that you actually appreciate, the language that is being
Exactly.
used.
Exactly.
But when it comes to the social media, I know that you have a rule in your Facebook page that you don't you don't welcome
Yes. Rule.
Yes,
you don't welcome language that is a social media language. You only want like complete sentences and all that. But um but at the same time, I can't help to see that in today's generation, the millennial generation, they grew up in the era of social media. I mean, maybe me, I grew up in the 90s, so probably I went through the era that, before the handphones and all this technology advancement, but today's generation, that is all that they ever knew. So I mean, how can you make them, change to the direction towards a more like, this is what language should be.
Okay, language evolves. We agree. But there's the difference between the evolving language and taking the language for granted. You see, it's true. The younger generation might not have proper education on how to use a proper language. To the extent, most teenagers, not all, who claim to be speaking English, I tell them directly on their face, what you're speaking is not English.
Really?
It's not English. Something which sounds like English, looks like English, but it's not
But it's
English.
really not. Yeah, I
Reminds me
actually.
of your brother, Gowri.
Okay, let's not say that on air. But it's true actually. The way I speak and the way my brothers speak is so different. I don't know how it happened because we grew up in the same house for like
Uh-huh.
nearly 20 years. But he has like his own version of English that even when I listen to him speak, sometimes I have no idea what he's saying.
Yeah, we get away by saying it's Manglish,
Yeah, it's
Singlish,
Malaysia,
and all
like, take
that.
it easy,
Well,
but-
English is English. Of course, there is you can speak it differently based on either your ethnicity or the way you grew up. But it doesn't give you an excuse to exploit it to the extent that you can say whatever you want and you claim that's English and that's what I grew up with. Same
Exactly.
goes, and when it comes to writing, back to what Arlene mentioned about the house rules, Gowri also aware of the house rules.
Yes, I am aware
Yes.
of your house rule.
See, simply, I just tell them that you don't have to be a linguist to write a proper sentence. Of course, some people have problem understanding that sentence itself. People, if you want to make a comment on my wall, or whatever you do on your Facebook wall is your business, but when you come to my wall on my Facebook, if you want to comment, use proper English. For example, if you just want to say, I disagree with what you say, just say it out loud. I disagree with what you are saying. That's it. Rather than coming up with your unique unknown language, which I will not understand. So if you're commenting in Bahasa Malaysia, use proper Bahasa Malaysia that everybody who knows Bahasa Malaysia understands what is being said. Because you must understand, social media, it's open. Anybody or everybody is reading it. And if you write it in your own dialect or in your own interpretation, you say, I'm a hipster, I'm a teenager who uses this sort of language, short forms, but another person will have problem understanding whatever you're trying to say.
And one thing interesting about social media also, it creates a lot of different new languages that I think if we bring back in the 90s or 80s, people would not understand like what the hell you're talking
Yeah,
about.
especially with the invention of all these new words.
Like hashtag, selfie, and also the video that we saw earlier before the show is called Rick Roll. And maybe you want to explain more, Gowri, about it.
About Rick rolling.
Rick rolling, yeah.
I think people actually know what Rick rolling is. There are actually two types. The one that we saw was the video version, but you can also do it when you're talking actually, but you have to be really skilled for that. And I can't demonstrate right now. But basically it's to include all the words from the song into whatever you're saying, and the other person don't even realize it. Yeah.
Now I get
Yeah,
it.
it's like
Now you get it.
I've been
tricky
rickrolled.
process.
You have been Rick Roll.
So if I want to say like never gonna give you up, I'll be like, never do this, give me that, but I'm slowly putting in all the words, you know. So eventually I'll be like, you just been rickrolled. And then when you think back about what I said, you're like, I didn't even see that coming.
Yeah.
We didn't even see that coming.
So like even like the word throwback, I want to talk about that because
Oh yeah.
yeah, right?
Hashtag Throwback Sunday.
It just makes you flinch. So throwback doesn't actually mean what people think it means. I see, of course, millions of people probably using it worldwide,
Yeah.
but I have never used it. I refuse to use it because throwback doesn't mean flashback or anything like that. Throwback is something that resembles something in the past. It's more in that context, but people just use it like
Yeah, you hashtag
Then-
everything for throwback and you show a photo of yesterday or
right.
last year,
Exactly.
which doesn't fall under the category.
And then there's also people hashtagging every single thing they say, and even when they're talking these days.
Yes, yes. People say hashtag this and hashtag that, and people will be speaking. Oh, I'll LOL to that. What the hell? They're trying to say laugh out loud. LOL. They forget that the written version of short forms is different from the way you speak. You don't go around saying, "Oh, I feel like I want to LOL." What is that?
Yeah, all these abbreviations, I think like what Arlene said as well, we're just trying to make everything so short, so simple that it's finally meaningless. Like when you just say, oh, I want to LOL, why don't you just laugh if you feel like laughing?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, what does this social media language actually teaches us? I mean, like, what does it? What kind of awareness that you gain out of like understanding like language has evolved to include social media language? Like, a brand name of a product has become like a a verb. For example, can you FB me? FB is supposed to be for Facebook. Or can you Skype me? Did you tweet that? And these are
Have
words.
you Googled that?
Yeah, have you Googled that? And these are words that are supposed to be like the brand name of the product, but now it has become like a verb that we use every day to describe the action.
No, actually, that's no problem at all. For example, when we say yo-yo, it was actually a brand in the beginning, and soon we will have Colgate because everybody,
Right.
Please buy Colgate. What brand, Dali? You see, it has become a term for toothpaste, or even terms when you say zip, the zipper that you have. It was originally a brand. Since it has been being used very often, it has become a normal term. If the internet, for our information, it's supposed to start with a capital I.
Oh, okay.
It's a special term, but now since everybody is using it, it becomes just another term. So that's how things work.
And even words like friends, likes, status, wall page, and profile. It's supposed to have like very specific meaning in the English language, but now you use it solely, to describe your action in Facebook. Like, can you write on my wall?
Yes.
Like, if you bring back that kind of sentence in the 80s, probably you'll be like, what? You want to write on your wall? Which wall is that?
Or even terms like poking, people
Yes,
do it so
yes.
freely on the internet, like, oh, let me poke this person.
Yeah, because actually on Facebook, people forget that the function poke. Let's say I'm not friend with Gowri, for example, on Facebook. If when I poke Gowri on Facebook, I'm actually giving her access to my Facebook, even though she's not my friend. The poke gives her permission to enter my Facebook to view what are the things which are only meant for friends. People don't know. They, oh, this is just a poking. Let me poke you. They don't understand the real function of poking. Poking is I'm poking you to give you a chance to come into my account and view, even though you're not my friend.
And possibly, maybe if you like my profile, then add me as a friend or
Yes,
something to that.
And another part of social media that I found to be like that I really like, but I think it's actually not good for language is emoticons. Like rather than expressing that you're sad, probably you will put I'm very very sad. You put like a face of emoticon with the tears on the side.
Yes, recently I stopped using those because I say we are simplifying things, and even people use it or overuse it for things that they don't mean.
And nowadays people just, I mean, even in WhatsApp and all this text messaging media, in the smartphones, I noticed that nowadays I use more emoticons than usual to express like whatever that I want to express. And there's so many emoticons expressing different, pictures and different emotions or different activities that you don't need a language anymore to describe it.
You see, that's where we actually we think, we assume, we imagine that we are showing our emotion through the emoticons, but actually we are what we are doing is we are standardizing it. If I'm feeling sad, this is how it should be. If I'm feeling down, this is how it should be. If I'm feeling happy, this is how I should be. When in reality, the way you feel sad, the way Arlene feels sad will be different from how Gowri feels.
Yeah, of course.
It's going to be different. But we are thinking that, oh, if my friend is feeling sad, oh, this is how she or he should feel. We are standardizing it. So that also affects us psychologically, not only language-wise. It also affects us psychologically.
So I actually brought up the issue of language on social media to some of my friends, and even like while texting. But maybe sometimes texting you want to be fast, so you use certain short form, and that's fine. But
TTYL. Yeah.
Talk
to you.
So TTYL means talk to you later.
Yeah.
Okay, I've learned something new today.
So like when I tell them this, like, why you guys don't pay attention to the way you write a sentence when you're posting a status or something? Then they were like this is Facebook, who cares? And I'm like, well, if you want to use a language, then you use it properly. Sometimes people, instead of typing THIS, they type DIZ, and
Yeah.
you're like, why? why the Z, and why are you changing the spelling of this thing?
I have an answer for that.
Yeah,
Based
yes,
on my
please.
observation and my experience and communicating with people, when people don't use proper language, whatever language, on Facebook or Twitter or their SMS, even though they say this is just a social media, the reality which they are trying to deny is that they can't use the language properly. They might not be able to spell this correctly anymore. So they just go at this is DIZ. Okay, this. That's how they go about. So the actual problem is that they haven't mastered the language. They can't they can't spell the word correctly. So they just give an excuse to say, oh, this is just social media. Beware, Gowri.
But
Beware,
when
Arlene.
you do that, it also not only changes, like you said, yeah, they don't know how to spell it, but they probably don't even know how to pronounce it, because I wouldn't write it as DIZ, because I know that D and TH have very, very different sounds. I know I
Oh,
sound like a
please.
linguist right now.
Yeah,
but
no, you don't have to be a linguist. I normally tell people they pronounce birthday.
Exactly.
I say, hello, a day for the bird, or is it the day you were born? Birth. I say it's birthday, not birthday. It happens.
Right. So that's why when you actually change the spellings of these things, it changes the way you speak entirely in that sense. So
But you know what's the worst is autocorrection either in your phone or um in your computer, because I think because of autocorrect people have become lazy to actually even memorize how a word would be spelled as. For example, I think there's this one infamous case of two celebrity in Malaysia. There's this one celebrity that wanted to offer her condolences to Sharifah
Sharifani.
Aini
Yes.
of her passing, but instead she used another name, which is Sharifah Armani.
Sharifah Armani, yes, exactly. And
Eh,
Sharifah Armani replied, hey, I'm alive.
and then she blamed it on, and then the person who tweeted it blamed it on social media. She said that, oh, because of my auto correction in my smartphone. I think people have become lazy to even like do spell check,
Yeah, you see,
proofreading.
people are not thinking. They
Yeah.
don't think. That's why when people post on my Facebook wall, when they write on my wall, I tell them, please check and recheck at least 3 times. So that you may say, Utaya's family, I'm so sorry he passed away, for example. Then say, oh, I blame my autocorrect. You see, people, even though it's we are moving in a very fast world and we want everything to be fast, we want to reply to our Facebook messages, tweet very fast, but take a few seconds, a few minutes. You don't even need 1 minute. Just take a few seconds to read what you have written before you click post or send. That would be the easiest way.
I think I'm a bit of a typochondriac in that sense.
No, we are just lovers of language. We are not linguists. We just love the language. We know that language is used to convey a message, and we consciously want to make sure that we want to convey the correct message. Because if we use short forms or we misspell a word, it might give 180-degree different meaning from what we actually want to say. Like if I were to say, oh, I like Gowri's performance today, and if I end up writing, I dislike Gowri's performance today, just the diss, I'm going to say, oh, it's just a diss, who cares? But it changes the whole idea.
Yeah, it changes the whole language of you want to express to Gowri. Another point that I want to raise is the Malay language as well. I felt that the Malay language has become so westernized that it has lost all its complexity. That because the Malay language is a mixture of all the different words coming from, all around the world,
Yes, from the
uh,
very beginning.
from the very beginning, Sanskrit, Farsi, English, and Arab language, even the Malay archipelago itself. But nowadays, it seems like it has become so westernized that I think not. I don't know any Malay teenager that can actually express in Malay really well like it used to be.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, yeah. Awesome is another word which we made fun of during the Kuala Lumpur festival. We said that since Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka has agreed to include in their Kamus Dewan, the official dictionary for Malay language, they've agreed to include selfie, Twitter, and hashtag, claiming that people are using it. Malaysians are using it, or to be more accurate, Malays are using it, so it can enter Kamus Dewan. So people are also using awesome. Of course, the way it's spelled would be OSEM, for the simple reason that Malaysians don't really know how to spell awesome. So it's awesome. It sounds awesome. It sounds correct. So OSEM, awesome. So technically, that term should also be in Kamus Dewan along with hashtag, Twitter, and selfie. It sounds stupid, but that's how our country works.
But I personally, I disagree with that. First of all, I will get confused on which spelling is actually the right way of how to spell it in English. And secondly, I think we should create our own Malay language to express something that is in English, that like what the French do with the French language.
Yes, I totally agree. This reminds me of Tamil language. Okay, even though I'm not an expert in Tamil language, but when it comes to computer terms, you see, the excuse that we give in Malaysia for our Bahasa Malaysia is that terms like computer, oh, we don't have computer, so we have to use the term from English. We just change the spelling, but in Tamil, when it's computer, they don't use the term computer in Tamil. They come up with another pure Tamil term. For example, it's called kanini.
Oh,
Kanini is computer. They don't just take the word computer.
I have a new Malaysian. I just learned kanini. It sounds
see.
like panini, the
Okay. So that's why for technology terms in Tamil languages, it doesn't only come from India. Even the Tamil experts in Malaysia come up with the correct, appropriate term in Tamil, which can be used to convey the exact meaning of the term.
So Gowri,
What?
Your Tamil skill.
can I borrow your kanini?
I don't have one right now, so.
So anyway, Utaya, thank you very much for speaking with us on the language in social media. I think at the end of the day, we should preserve the language, and I think it's not just the role of institutions, but it's also the role of society at large. We need to have more Utaya Sankar.
Wow, one is enough. No, you see, of course, here during our discussion, we do not mean to make fun of anybody or belittle anybody. It's just that we want to have a discussion and make people be aware that, hey, I've overlooked this. Maybe starting today, I will start using the language properly, like what Gowri does, like what Arlene does.
So anyway, thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much for
Thank you
joining
so
us
much.
this
So,
morning.
how do I sign off in the computer language? Okay, let me log off.
Or you can say BRB.
BRB.
What's that?
Be right back.
Okay.
TTYL, okay?
GTG, got to go.
Yeah.
Take off all of your skin and brave when you are free. Shake off all of your sins and give them to me.